Beyond the story, where dream begins, there comes a moment in every tale when the story ends, but you do not. You float forward, carried by the rhythm that lingers, the emotional hum that holds your chest like gentle hands. You are no longer in a jungle or on a boat or listening to Marlow's voice. You are in yourself now, quiet, still dreamlit, and the night opens to you like a flower only visible to those who have truly rested. The river of stars, a sky that flows. Look up, if you wish, up with your mind's eye. Above your floating thoughts is a sky so wide it breathes. It is not dotted with stars. It is stars, a river of them, drifting across the heavens, just as your breath drifts across your pillow. Some stars are dreams yet to be dreamed. Others are memories gently glowing. And tonight they make no demands. They only guide. You do not have to follow. Just watch. Just rest. The soft shore where sleep begins. Imagine now your boat, your invisible pillow boat, has reached a shore, but not a shore of sand or stone. This one is made of clouds, feathers, velvet, old lullabies. Each step you take here sinks slightly, then springs back like a cradle. You lie down, not because you must, but because it feels like the most natural thing in the world. The stars blink. The fog kisses your forehead. Sleep has arrived, not with force, but with kindness. No more names, just softness. Your name slips away now, not lost, just not needed. You do not need identity here. No past, no future, just being. You are breath, warmth, presence. Let the names of the world fall behind you, the ones they gave you, the ones you carried, the ones you whispered into pillows. Here, you need none of them, only stillness, only surrender, only soft. The silence that loves you so many fear silence. But this silence adores you. It folds itself around your tired thoughts. It hums with the gentlest sound of nothing. Not empty, not void, but full. Full of everything you no longer have to hold. Let it touch your temples. Let it press gently behind your eyes. Let it tell you, you can rest now. You've listened, you've floated, you've come home. Sleep induction, drifting, deepening, done in, out, slower, in, out. No edges, no urgency, just air, just night. You've done everything you needed to do. You've heard the story. You've crossed the river. You've made peace with shadows. Now all that remains is peace. Peace that pools under your ribs, that curls around your knees, that rocks you like water, like song, like love. Good night, dear one. Sleep is yours, and so is the silence beyond it. Hypnotic sleep induction. Letting go, she. Let the noise fall away now. Let your breath soften. You are no longer where you were. You're here, where the water is dark and glassy, where a warm wind stirs the tall reeds, where the only sound is the slow pulse of the river. Close your eyes gently. Feel the weight of the day melt down through your toes. Let it fall away like a pebble into the depths. Breathe in a slow breath, deeper now. Hold it just for a moment and let it go. You're safe, held in the hush of a far-off time, a time when stories were passed from mouth to ear, whispers between waves, a story that sets sail now. Story begins. The River Thames, England, our story begins, not in Africa, but on the River Thames, long ago, beneath a sky of gathering clouds. The water is wide here, dark and smooth. Aboard a small Botan old pleasure ship moored at the mouth of the river, 4 men sit, wrapped in thick woolen coats. A mist clings to their shoulders, and the lantern at the prow casts a golden ring on the rippling tide. They wait for the tide to turn, wait, and speak softly. One of them, tall, spare, sun-worn, leans back, his eyes half closed, hands folded over his knees. This is Marlow, a sailor, a thinker, and tonight, a storyteller. He speaks not quickly, but slowly, like someone lifting ancient objects from a chest long sealed, each word unwrapped with care. And what he tells them is a journey that began with a map. The map, a child's fascination. He remembers it well. The map spread wide across a table in a London office. Rivers like snakes, countries colored in pink, green, and yellow, was drawn in pure mystery. But one place, one long, winding river. It looked like a coil, dark, thick, like a serpent sleeping in shadow. The Congo, a place the old explorers barely returned from, and desired it. A place called the Dark Continent by those who feared it. Marlow, young and curious, had stared at that river for years, and now he was going, not as a soldier, not as a priest, but as a captain of a steamboat. Africa, arrival in the unknown Africa. The sun here is not gentle. It presses against the skin like molten gold. The light is bright, but it does not illuminate. It blinds. Marlow steps off the ship into a world of color and silence. The trees here are enormous, their shadows cool and deep. The earth is red, rich, breathing. But what strikes him most is not the land, it's the stillness, a watchful quiet, as though the jungle is waiting, listening. He travels inland, past chain gangs of native workers, men bound with iron, forced to move stone under the scorching sky. He does not speak. He watches. Already, the lines between explorer and intruder, between mission and madness, begin to blur. The company, men of business and hollow eyes, he meets them in scattered stations. European men in pressed shirts, their boots muddy and faces drawn. They are here for ivory. They are here for empire. They are here but not present. One man wears a white suit and carries a parasol. Another keeps a ledger of shipments no one checks. They speak in clipped tones, avoid each other's eyes, as though they know deep down that they are being watched, not by men, but by the land. Marlow listens. To them, to the insects, to the silence that presses like a heavy blanket, and through all of it, one name is spoken again and again. Kurtz, Kurtz, the whispered myth. Kurtz, a name like a gust of wind, always heard, never seen. He is a traitor, a leader, a voice on the wind. They say he sends down more ivory than any other. They say he lives deep, upriver, farther than most dare to go. They say he is brilliant, eloquent, dangerous. No one speaks plainly, but in every cautious word, Marlow hears awe and fear. And so, his journey becomes not just a mission, it becomes a search for the man at the heart of the jungle, for the voice inside the silence. For Kurtz, nightfall, the river sleeps. That night, Marlow rests by a fire near the river's edge. The jungle rises around him like a cathedral. The branches arch high overhead. The air smells of wet leaves, smoke, and something old. He lies on his back, watching stars flicker through the canopy. Crickets sing, slow, deep, eternal. A monkey cries once, far off, then silence. And the river moves beside him, carrying secrets, carrying dreams. And somewhere far ahead, beyond bends and shadows, Kurtz waits. Sleep induction reminder, linger here. And you, dear listener, you drift beside Marlow now. Feel the humid air on your skin, the soft pulse of the river beneath your thoughts, the warmth of the fire against your face. Let the jungle hold you. Let the story rock you. There's nothing to solve, nothing to reach for, only drifting, only stillness, only the river, and the darkness it carries. The steamer. Preparation and waiting. Marlow's task is simple in name: to captain a steamer, a prepper, to reach the inner station where Kurtz, this mythic figure, waits. But the boat is in pieces, damaged on its last descent, the hull cracked, the engine pouting smoke like an old man's cough. So Marlow waits. Days turn into weeks. He walks the station grounds, sketches the broken engine with quiet patience, listens to the company men, each more hollow than the last. They talk of trade, of civilizing the natives, of quotas, reports, discipline. But their eyes are empty. They're not here for civilization. They're here for ivory. And ivory, in the heat and silence, is not just a fen. It becomes a god, the madness of men. What the jungle does. Marlow watches a man dressed all in whiten, accountant meticulously record every ounce of ivory. Outside, a native man lies dying under a tree, his ribs sharp beneath skin, his eyes open but unseeing. No one speaks of him. He is part of the scenery, like a fallen leaf. This is how the jungle works. It doesn't shout, it doesn't rage, it unmasks. It peels away the thin skin of manners and uniforms, and shows what lies beneath. Marlow begins to understand the real danger here is not the heat or disease or even the river. It's what happens to a man when there are no walls left, setting sail into the green unknown. At last, the boat is mended. Marlow stands at the helm. The boiler rumbles softly. The river, now swollen and slow, glides out ahead. On board are pilgrims agents of the company armed with rifles, eyes darting like startled birds. They wear hats too large, boots too tight. They speak of Kurtz in reverent tones, the natives' silent, strong work, the firemen's post and load supplies. Their faces unreadable, their silence deeper than the jungle. And the river. The river is not water, it's memory. It carries them inward, deeper. The trees lean closer now, the sky narrows, and time begins to vanish. The sound of drums, far off, echoes some nights. The boat is anchored, too dark to steer, too dangerous to drift. And then, from the depths of the jungle, come the drums, low, rhythmic, not fast, but endless. The sound rises through the trees like breath, not war drums, but something older, like a heartbeat from beneath the earth. The pilgrims tense, their fingers twitch near triggers, but Marlow listens. He feels it, not as a threat, but a reminder. This land is alive, and it does not sleep. Hypnotic sleep induction, letting go, she. Let the noise fall away now. Let your breath soften. You are no longer where you were. You're here, where the water is dark and glassy, where a warm wind stirs the tall reeds, where the only sound is the slow pulse of the river. Close your eyes gently. Feel the weight of the day melt down through your toes. Let it fall away like a pebble into the depths. Breathe in a slow breath, deeper now. Hold it just for a moment and let it go. You're safe, held in the hush of a far-off time, a time when stories were passed from mouth to ear, whispers between waves, a story that sets sail now. Story begins. The River Thames, England, our story begins, not in Africa, but on the River Thames, long ago, beneath a sky of gathering clouds. He remembers it well. The map spread wide across a table in a London office. Rivers like snakes, countries colored in pink, green, and yellow, was drawn in pure mystery. But one place, one long, winding river. It looked like a coil, dark, thick, like a serpent sleeping in shadow. The Congo, a place the old explorers barely returned from, and desired it. The station, first glimpse of Kurtz's world at last. After miles and days of silence, the inner station appears. It doesn't rise like a fortress. It slouches like something sinking into the earth. A broken fence, a low hut, a flagpole without a flag, and skulls lined on stakes around the clearing, not polished, not hidden. They grin into the trees, as if bearing witness to something old and sacred. Marlow stares. The pilgrims whisper. The jungle breathes, and still, no sign of Kurtz, the harlequin, a painted ghost. Then, a figure emerges, not Kurtz, but something stranger, a mantle, thin, draped in colored rags. His face painted in streaks of white and blue, eyes wild, voice bright, too bright. He calls himself a Russian, a wanderer, a disciple of Kurtz. He speaks quickly, like a stream that never stops. He speaks of visions, of miracles, of Kurtz's words, which he calls light in the wilderness. But Marlow hears something else. He hears loneliness, desperation, the madness of someone who has been too close for too long. Still, the man smiles. Kurtz is ill, he says, but he is a great man, a voice, a mind, a god to them. And Marlow wonders, God to whom? The natives, silent guardians, all around the station they gather, silent men and women, eyes painted, bodies draped in beads and feathers, not aggressive, not friendly, just still, as though they are watching a ritual or mourning a king. And at the edge of them all, a woman, tall, beautiful, draped in bright cloth and golden rings. She stands, with arms lifted toward the hut. She does not speak, but her presence roars. The Russian whispers that is his queen, and Marlow feels it, the weight of something ancient, not empire, not trade, but worship. Kurtz, the voice in the hut. Inside the hut, a bed of twisted blankets, candles burned low, papers stacked high, and a man, thin, pale, eyes like coals that have burned too long. Kurtz, not the booming voice Marlow imagined, but a whisper, a breath just barely held together. Yet, when he speaks, the room listens. Even the trees seem to pause. He speaks of ivory, of greatness, of plans. He speaks, and something in the air changes. It thickens, darkens, because Kurtz is not just a man now. He is an echo of what power does. When left alone, the words, a final message. Kurtz gives Marlow a bundle of papers, writings, letters, his legacy. One phrase, scrawled in heavy ink, catches Marlow's eye. Exterminate all the brutes. A chill, not from the wind, but from within. Because these are not just notes, they're confessions. Kurtz, who began as a poet, a humanitarian, a visionary, has become something else. And as Marlow looks at him frail, wasted, half shadow, he wonders, is this what waits at the end of ambition? Not glory, but silence, the death-whispered words in the dark that night. Kurtz fades. His body shudders. His eyes search the ceiling like they see something no one else can. And with a breath like paper folding, he whispers, "The horror, the horror." Then stillness. The jungle does not respond. No wind stirs, no animal cries. Only the fire, crackling faintly, and Marlow, sitting beside the bed, listening to a silence that stretches wider than the river. The return down river. In morning they leave the station. The pilgrims, silent now. The Russian, vanished. The woman, left behind. Kurtz's body lies in a wooden box. His words in Marlow's pocket. The steamer moves slowly back toward the coast, back toward civilization. But Marlow, he carries something else, a weight, not physical, but deep, because he has seen what lies at the center. Not gold, not truth, just a mirror, and in it, darkness. Sleep induction. Let the river carry you. Now let go. You've seen the edges of the jungle. You've walked the dark bends of the soul. But here is where you rest. Let the water rock you. Let the fog kiss your cheeks. Let the fireflies blink in the dusk around your drifting thoughts. You are safe. The danger is past, and what remains now is sleep. Let it find you, gently, silently, like a whisper from Kurtz, floating down the river and vanishing into the trees. The sea again, back to civilization. The river widens now. The trees draw back, their long arms waving goodbye in silence. The steamer glides toward the sea, its hull heavy with more than wood and iron. It carries the weight of everything Marlow has seen. At the coast, the company men wait. Bright clothes, polished boots, empty smiles. They ask no questions. They do not want to hear the truth of Kurtz. They want a version that fits their books, their ledgers, their world. A tale of a great man who died nobly in service of empire. Marlow says nothing. The silence is easier now. Illness, a fever of the soul, back in Europe, back among carriages and clocks and clean streets. Marlow falls ill, not just in body, but in spirit. The fever comes at night. His dreams are not dreams, but flickers of jungle fire, painted faces. The voice of Kurtz echoing thin and cracked. The horror, the horror. Sometimes he hears the drums again. Sometimes the river runs through his sheets. The doctor tells him it's just a tropical fever. He prescribes tea, warm beds, quiet. But Marlow knows better. It's not disease, it's memory, the intended. A visit to the light one day, Marlow calls upon Kurtz's, the intended. That's what Kurtz called her. She lives in a grand house, high windows, tall vases. The light is white and clean. She wears black, though a year has passed. Her hands tremble when she speaks of Kurtz. She calls him noble, brave, a man of pure ideals. She asks Marlow, what were his last words? Marlow hesitates. He sees the jungle behind his eyelids. He hears the whisper of a dying man who had seen his soul stripped bare. But instead, he lies. He says he spoke your name, and she weeps, and Marlow leaves. Truth and silence, the final reflection. Back on the Thames, where the story began, Marlow grows quiet. His listeners aboard the boat say nothing. The tide is rising now. The sea calls, and the river flows not west, but east, into the heart of the continent, into the unknown, into the same darkness from which Marlow once emerged. He stares out across the water. The sky hangs low and gray, and he thinks, perhaps the darkness is not in the jungle, not in Kurtz, not in the natives or the silence. Perhaps it is in us, and always has been. Sleep induction. Let go now, and now, gentle listener, let go. Let the tale fade. Let the jungle sleep. No longer among pilgrims and painted faces, no longer searching for Kurtz. You are in your bed. Your pillow is soft. Your breath is even. The world is quiet again. Let the story close around you like warm blankets pulled to your chin. Kurtz's gift, not glory, but warning. Kurtz was not a hero. He was not a monster. He was a mirror held up to empire, to ambition, to the soul of man. He gave no answers, only silence. He died with a whisper you now carry, tucked behind your dreams. The horror, but perhaps what he meant was the truth, and how hard it is to look at. You've looked now, and you are still whole, and that is a quiet kind of strength. The Thames revisited, a soft circle. The story ends where it began. The Thames, wide and calm, rolling gently out to sea. Marlow's eyes, older now, rest on the darkening water. The fog curls above the mast, are meant to hold. He says nothing more, and that silence speaks everything. Because not all stories are meant to teach. Some, like a warm blanket, like a drifting boat, like the hush before sleep. Sleep induction. Let the night unfold, and now let the jungle fade. The glint of skulls. Let the river fade. Let the sound of drums, the quiet power of firelight and shadow, melt away into the dark silk of your mind. There is no more searching, not in fear, no more steering, no more voices. Only breath, only warmth, only sleep. Let the darkness cradle you, but in peace. Let it hum beneath your skin. Let it rock you like the river once rocked the boat. Let it remind you, you are here, you are safe, you are resting, and the world, for now, can wait. The story as a spell. How listening transforms. There are stories that race, that burn, that ask you to chase their meaning. And then there are stories like this one. Heart of Darkness was never meant to be rushed. It doesn't gallop. It doesn't roar. It whispers. It calls to you in fragments, in rustling leaves, in words spoken slowly beside a low-burning fire. And by listening, by truly listening, you've changed, even if only a little. Because this was never about the jungle, or the ivory, or even Kurtz. It was about you, and what lingers when the tale is over, letting the light fade. In a good way, sometimes the light fades, not because it's gone, but because you've closed your eyes, not in fear, but in trust. And trust is the most sacred part of sleep. Just like Marlow trusted the river to carry him, you can trust the hush to carry you now. Let the flickering torchlight fade. Let the weight of meaning soften. There's no pressure to understand, no need to analyze, no need to recall each name, each place, each bend in the river. Let it all flow through you, like a warm current, like a feather on water, like a dream returning home. All men's rivers, all souls' journeys. You see, Marlow's journey was his, but the river belongs to us all. We each travel inward at some point in our lives, into dark rooms of the self, into hushed forests of memory, into moments where clarity flickers, then dims, and we return like Marlow did, changed, but not broken. And that is the quiet miracle of life. You endure the current. You float through the fog. You carry the whisper, and you rest. Kurtz's words revisited. A gentle reframe, Kurtz said, the horror, the horror. But what if he had lived longer? What if he had seen the stars again? Perhaps he would have said, the beauty, because even in the darkest story there is light. Even in this tale of madness and empire, there was reflection, there was awe. There was a river wide enough to hold 1,000 dreams, and you've drifted across it, softly, bravely. So maybe your final word tonight is not horror, but peace, your return, safe, wrapped, dreaming. Now you are returning, not on a boat, not through a jungle, but through breath. Feel the rhythm of your chest, in and out, like gentle waves against the shore. Let your limbs feel warm and heavy. Let your thoughts dissolve like sugar in tea. You're not chasing anything. You're not escaping. You are arriving back to yourself, back to your center, back to the soft comfort of knowing that the night is not to be feared, but to be felt. Sleep induction, a ritual of rest. Let this be a small ritual now. A closing of the gate. Inhale slowly, count to 4, and exhale even slower. Let your eyes close like a well-worn book. Let your thoughts fold like parchment. Let your heart rest in the candlelit silence. You are not a pilgrim. You are not a captain. You are a sleeper, and sleep is your vessel. Let it take you now to a place without words, without time, only softness, only peace, only the end of the river. What Marlow carried, a memory like smoke. Marlow didn't carry treasure, no gold, no ivory, no metals. What he carried back from the jungle was something much harder to hold. A voice, a feeling, a slow, curling shadow that sat in the corners of his mind like smoke that never quite cleared. It was not pain, not joy, but something in between, like waking from a dream and trying to recall the shape of the wind. It clung to him, and he let it stay, because even shadows, when quiet, can be soft companions. The moon on the river, reflections that don't lie. There were nights when Marlow would dream of the Congo again, but in these dreams there was no fear, only the moonlight gliding across the surface of the water like silver silk. The jungle did not shout, it hummed, a lullaby, low and steady, and on the surface of the river he saw not Kurtz, not skulls or rifles, but his own face, calm, still. Because sometimes what you find in darkness is simply yourself, undressed, unguarded, and true. The jungle as a temple, not a threat, but a wisdom. Long after the journey had ended, Marlow thought of the jungle not as an enemy, but as a temple. Yes, it was wild. Yes, it was cruel at times, but it was honest. It had no masks, no paperwork, no lies dressed in suits. Everything in the jungle simply was. The vines were vines. The drums were drums. The silence was sacred. And Kurtz, though broken, was real. More real than the polished men in polished cities. In that way, Marlow came to respect the jungle, because even if it undid you, it never pretended not to. The gentle linger. What remains after a story ends, now the story has been told. The boat is moored, the tide has stilled, and yet something lingers, not the words themselves, but their feeling, like the scent of a page turned long ago, like the warmth left in a chair after someone has risen. That is the beauty of slow stories. They leave space, space for your own breath, your own stillness, your own dreams to stretch their arms and sigh. Let that space stay open now. Don't rush to fill it. Let it be a quiet room inside you, lit by a single candle, flickering, safe, the river within you. Two are deep. You may not travel by steamer. You may never walk through jungle vines. You may not whisper Kurtz's name into the fog, but you have a river, too, inside you, a current of memory, of questions, of little truths too soft for daylight. And tonight you've honored that river by listening, by resting, by letting it flow without resistance. That is courage, too, quiet courage, the kind that helps stories soften into dreams. Sleep induction, final drift to dreams. Let's slow everything now. Feel your fingers grow still. Let your jaw unclench. Let your eyelids become heavier than words. There is nothing more to chase, no answers left to grasp, only rest. Breathe in like the tide, hold and release like the fog. Let the boat disappear now. Let the jungle dissolve. Let the lantern flicker once and go out. You are safe. You are held. You are floating now on your own gentle river. And nothing, nothing can reach you here. Understanding by moonlight, truth without edges. There are kinds of truth that shout, and there are kinds that whisper. The kind you don't solve, but feel. Marlow never claimed to understand everything. Not Kurtz, not the company, not the jungle. But in his quiet way, he came to accept that not all truth is clear. Not all darkness is evil. And not all journeys end with answers. Some just end with a deeper quiet. And in that quiet, there is peace. You, the listener, a soul that floated too. You've traveled far, not in miles, but in moments, in stillness, in imagination. You listened with soft breath and an open heart. You drifted without needing to paddle. You let the river carry you. And somewhere between the candlelight and the drumbeat, you changed. Even if only a little, you grew softer, wider, quieter, like a stretch of river at dusk. And that softness is a kind of wisdom, one you'll carry long after this night ends. Darkness as embrace, the sacred shade. What if darkness was not something to fear? What if it was a cloak, a velvet wrap placed around your shoulders by the universe itself, to slow you down, to help you rest, to make the stars more visible. Kurtz may have called it the horror, but that was his voice at the end of a life unraveling. Your voice can choose a gentler word. Try it, the hush, the depth, the still, because when the world grows too loud, darkness waits, like a grandmother's lap, warm, silent, soft. It loops through your memories, wins through your sighs, and lingers in the hush between dreams. Marlow's journey may be complete. Kurtz may have whispered his last. A new bend begins, to the place where even thoughts grow quiet. Let your breath flatten. Let your bones sink into your bed. Let your skin grow cool and your heart warm. Feel your chest rise and fall, and again, each breath a soft paddle stroke into dream. No more words, no more jungle, only rest. The final candle, blowing it out. Imagine a single candle beside your bed, its flame, golden, small, bending in a breeze you do not feel. It flickers once, twice, and then gently goes out, not with fear, not with sorrow. You are loved, you are resting, now and always. The story dissolves, like ink in water. A story begins and ends, but a feeling, it lingers, like smoke in old wood, like sunlight trapped in the folds of a curtain, like Marlow's voice, echoing across a river no map can find. You may not remember every detail tomorrow. You don't need to. Let it dissolve now, like ink in warm water, like fire dying into embers, like the sound of drums when you walk away. It's still with you, just quieter. The stars over the river, celestial witnesses. Imagine the stars that hung above Marlow's journey, cold, clear, endless. They watched the jungle, they watched the steamer, they watched Kurtz fade, and now they watch you, the same stars, the same silver patience. They say nothing, but their silence is kind. They keep secrets. They light your path, even when your eyes are closed. Let their light guide you tonight into dreams with no edges, only softness, only sky. What was real and what was dream? It's hard to say now. Was the jungle real? Was Kurtz ever alive? Was Marlow speaking? Or were you remembering something your soul once knew? Sometimes we carry memories from lifetimes we've never lived. You may never have sailed a steamer, but some part of you knows what it means to drift, to seek, to wonder. So let it be both. Let it be story and truth, dream and memory. Because bedtime doesn't need to choose. The fog inside, gentle and protective fog, is not confusion, not always. Sometimes fog is protection. It slows us, wraps us, gives us permission to pause, to move without knowing, to rest without arrival. Marlow's journey was filled with fog, and still he found what he needed. So too can you. Let the fog rise within you now, not to blind, but to comfort. Let it cover your worries. Let it soften your thoughts. It does not ask questions. It only holds your pillow as a boat, floating now. Feel your pillow beneath you. Feel how it cradles your head, soft, secure. Now pretend it's a boat, just big enough for one. Its sides lined with velvet, its sails made of stars. You are floating again, not on a jungle river this time, but on the tide of your own breath. You do not steer, you do not fight, you float, effortless, weightless. Let yourself go further now. Sleep induction, the last whisper of wakefulness. Your breath is water, your heartbeat the distant drum, your eyelids as heavy as the jungle's hush, and all around you the world has quieted. No more names, no more rivers, no more questions, only rest, only peace. You've seen the shadows, and they've shown you something precious, that even in the darkest story, sleep waits, and now it is yours.